We're all tied up here at the HGC as Team Good Guys and Zealots are going to a game number 3, and I would say the Good Guys look much better in game number 2. Their game 1 performance looked a little bit off, but it seems like they've woken up and they're ready to go.
Yeah, so what did we learn? Don't give anti-hero in Uberak, give him Varian.
No in Uberak, give him different tanks.
I'm not quite sure what exactly the issues in the first game were about, but they fixed them heading into game number 2. Question is, of course, is that going to be the trend? Are we going to see a similarly strong Good Guys in game 3, or is it once again the Zealots show? So we had a pretty dominated victory on Battlefield of Eternity in favor of the Zealots. In game 2, Good Guys looking much stronger. Let's find out what we're going to see in game number 3, and of course which map we're going to.
Well, the map that we are going to will be Infernal Shrines. The Good Guys will get to pick it up here, and Zealots will be taking the first pick. So Infernal Shrines is a bit more stable map for both of our teams here. We'll get to see them play on the standard side, if you will.
Yeah, so with this now, this is actually going to be an interesting one, since we have seen from the Good Guys several different approaches to the map here in the past. And now that we are also seeing a lot more Tacita, I want to see how they are going to change it up here. The one thing that I like about the new Tacita is that we have several different builds that you can play depending on your team composition, the map, and your opponent's composition.
Well, here we go, into Infernal Shrines. Let's see what our teams will be getting. I do think that Sonya being a bit stronger on this battleground makes Tassadar a bit harder to pull off unless you have her on your team with the Tassadar, because those two together can be scary. But Sonya puts enough pressure on the opposing team that she can actually get the area effect, the whirlwind going in, that Tassadar shields actually get chunked through really quickly. So we'll see if that will be popping up here for our teams, as Zealots will have the first ban.
So those were the first ban here, and we have seen a lot of bans against Genji, Tassadar, and Uther. Those three are currently in the last, I'd say, 10 days, definitely the top when it comes to comparative Heroes of the Storm, now that the Uberak has fallen a little bit lower. And this is still one of the heroes where I am interested to see what kind of priorities the teams are going to give him here. We are just dabbling in the Stukov patch now, with the hero himself not being allowed yet. But the first thing that happens is that Oriel is being banned out, so already targeting potential double support combos.
First ban that we've seen from Mario banned out. Tassadar will be answered right away here from the Good Guys, so we won't have to deal with the Tassadar shenanigans, but that does leave Uther up, and Uther will get picked up. Team Good Guys, what do they answer back with?
The main question now is, do you pick Rega now? Or are you willing to him being potentially banned out by the Zealots and then move into a different healer? There's still several others around that you can play. We've seen more Brightwing combos, mostly with double support. And on top of that, you can also, of course, play with the Malfurion. And the Good Guys, they risk it. They had a Charism earlier already in their game. So first of all, they prioritize Greymane, as he is still such a flexible hero and gains so much value on the map. And with the Haka, they still have the Side Soak available. Question remains how the Zealots react to this. Are they going to target a healer in the next ban period? Or, of course, what are they going to pick now?
See what they're going to be grabbing here. Zealots obviously have multiple choices set up for them. There's always a possibility of going in for the clear too. And again, I mentioned Sonya earlier. Sonya could be good against the Dahaka. She'll probably not get banned out though, so you can leave her alone for the time being. Also, what tank would we like to see Mopsio being played here? Does he want to move into the Muradin? Does he want to play ETC? I feel like this is a battleground that ETC can do pretty well on. Once you get to those fights around the shrines, he controls them pretty nice. You get the knockback, you get the power slides in if too many people come in at one time, which is very often because when someone wants to break a choke on the shrine phase, usually they put 2 to 3 people in the forward and they'll move in aggressively. So we'll see what Zealots want to move into.
Yeah, so the one they played ETC in this battleground before, but Genji has also not been picked yet. Yeah. So you could play Genji here, and they go into Diablo and Gul'dan, going down a completely different path from what we've seen them do in the past. But we highlighted several times now with other teams playing, in particular, how strong Diablo is here. Just because you get a maximum amount of value out of your Apocalypse and all that too. Devil's Due, most of Apocalypse, and also the Shadow Charge with a stun into the wall. Fnatic played that a lot. We have seen it also on the side of Team Liquid. So the Zealots trying that now too.
Feels unfair on this battleground when you have Devil's Due and the ability to jump in. That 13 talent, that charge that comes in that is max health damage is absolutely bonkers in Hero League. So if you have the chance, man, in Infernal Shrines, feel free to pick him up. We'll see what's going to be happening here as Diablo will be the choice, and Team Good Guys will ban out Medivh. If they don't want Medivh, it's always a good ban to ban him out because of that leyline seal and that APOC that Caldor was mentioning.
The one thing that's really important with Diablo is also that you have to try and keep your soul stacks. There's, especially when we're talking about Hero League, there's way too many Diablo players that think once they gain the maximum stack amount, that all of a sudden they have a free resurrect, basically. So they go into a fight, they're completely happy to die, they're not really trying to survive there and just try and trade their death for damage or value in CC, and then they respawn. So that's definitely what you don't want to do. It's super important that you keep your stacks and that you don't die so that you get the maximum amount of value of, especially your heal talents, the Devils do, just to give the best example. The amount of value you get out of that talent with full stacks is crazy.
Stitches will be the ban here for Zealots. We've seen BKB on this battleground playing a lot of the Stitches, so that will not be a choice here. Also, when you're running a Gul'dan, you don't ever want him to get hooked. It's very hard to get him out of a sticky situation, so not a bad ban here for the Zealots. So Team Good Guys, will they move into another tank and will be a different one here for Anti, or are they going to be deciding to go ahead and go with the old route of have Dahaka on the suck lane?
We could have Arthurs for them here once again. I think also one of the reasons why Stitches was banned out is not only the hook, but also the AoE that you have on the shrine itself. So with this, we could, okay, Genji taken. And I would say, oh, it's a Nubarak, okay. Nubarak taken once more, so question remains, is it going to be anti-hero on a Nubarak, or are they this time switching him over to Dahaka? But he has been doubled more and more in that main tank role, so we could definitely see that.
Genji into Diablo / Uther seems a little bit on the difficult side. If you ever dive in, you have to play safe, you have to be on the outside, you have to keep dropping in the shurikens, but if you ever go too far in with Diablo having a charge up, you gotta watch out for walls.
I mean, you have to be patient. You have enough heroes that can poke here and that can start the engagement, so as long as you are patient and just don't go in too early, you should be fine here. But it's definitely one of those setups where you have to be a bit more cautious when you start to move in, since you have to be aware, okay, what is still available? Is there, for example, a Divine Storm that I have to be afraid of? Now with Arthurs, you have another lockdown tool against Genji that could be a problem for him. And this is, again, a super beefy front line for the Zealots.
Yeah, they got that front line down. Okay, they're going to Cassia, so protect the Cassia composition once again. We saw a variation of this with the Zealots the other day. Worked out well. They had Tassadar and ETC instead. But here they have Gul'dan poke, and they have Cassie who can be in that like mid-range, constantly poking down with that the charge strikes.
I have to again say that I really like what the Zealots have here.
Yeah.
On the last map, I was also on their side when it came to the draft, but yeah, Poik never really got the damage out that he wanted with his Tracer. So the way that they played Abathur didn't help her too much getting the damage in, or didn't also enable the frontliners to get the damage. But now we have a Diablo and an Arthurs against Dahaka and Nubarak. This is going to be really difficult. And you talked about Genji already. You talked about him having issues just going in against so many lockdown heroes that can hurt him. So as long as you don't die over and over again with Diablo and you get your soul stacks up and you have your sustain, this is difficult to break through. Greymane is really strong in this setup, but overall, I like what the Zealots are running here. This is difficult. It's at least a draft that is difficult to play against if you have what TGG currently drafted.
Yeah, Zealots are much more straightforward with their draft. They can definitely move into the Shrine phase. They can control it very well with Gul'dan, bringing out the Fel Flame War. On the other side, you look at Team Good Guys, and they have to have perfect coordination for their fights. They have to have a Dahaka coming for a flank. They have to have a Nubarak engaged, try and burst down either Gul'dan or Cassia. Probably Gul'dan here, but then you have Uther there with the stuns. It just looks like a tall order. So hopefully they can find a way to get isolation. Maybe get Dahaka drafts where they can move to the top there, get a pick on somebody at the soul lane, because it's gonna be a hard one.
One of the big advantages that we have for TGG again is Dahaka as the global. On last map, it worked out really well for them with a side soak. If they can get similar value out of the hero in this game, that would help them. They did one thing really well on Sky Temple, which I liked. The timings on the mercenary camps were great. Every single time they used a mercenary camp, it got a lot of value. Against structures, just pushing against the core, Dahaka helped out with it, so all of a sudden you pressure the lanes a lot. If they can do a similar thing now on this map, that would help them. But I would expect the Zealots to counter that a bit more and just, for example, take the Shaman camp roughly around the same time to avoid the Good Guys getting too much value out of the side soak Dahaka.
Well, it's time for game number 3. We're all tied up 1-1. One of our teams is going to take a lead in this best-of-5 series. Will it be the Zealots or will it be the Good Guys?
Game number 3, the series is tied as we see here. Once again, the good guys going up against the Zealots. Kronos this time on Rega. We have Anti-Hero on Nuburak. Genji, played by Raid Boss. BKB on Dehaka. And Xe on Greymane.
On the right side, in the red, it will be the Zealots here. Poik on Gul'dan, Zarmany on Arthas, Shad on Cassia, Mopsio playing Diablo, and Grandpa will be playing Uther.
So, let's see how this is going to work out for the good guys this time. A very beefy front line against them with the Diablo plus Arthas trying to shield Cassia and, of course, Gul'dan. It's not going to be easy for them, for sure, but with good coordination, they might be able to break through it. But the front line that we see for the good guys is a lot weaker, especially since we are currently playing on the Stukov patch, where, of course, Nuburak has taken quite the hit against his sustainability.
Have to be on point with your engages if you're playing that at Nuburak here. So keep an eye on Anti, but also the team needs to be aware when he's wanting to go in. They gotta have that communication going forward. Zealots on the other side here have 4 in the middle, ready to engage on anyone that might walk forward, but Team Good Guys playing it nice and safe.
I really liked what we just saw, by the way. We had Genji just anchoring at the side, making sure that he gets the vision of when the Zealots would make their rotation to the top to stop the tower pressure that we saw from the Good Guys, since he's the most mobile hero in the setup, so he could easily escape. And the Good Guys just used him as a vision ward, basically. So they got the tower, and they moved back shortly before it fell, but later on they were able to get it. So it was pretty well coordinated from them. And the shot calling just overall from the good guys, much better in the last game and this one so far than what we've seen on Battlefield of Eternity. But still, the Zealots are getting their kill against Nuburak once more.
Anti coming in there to help out his Greymane that had gotten caught. But gets picked off there, use a burrow charge for the engage instead of walking up and maybe just dropping an impale over the wall. With Uther showing up, it was just a little bit too much, and Team Good Guys had to sacrifice that on Nuburak. And this is the strength of this format. If they have Cassia Gul'dan together with Arthas and Uther, it's going to be very difficult to get picks on them, especially with Uther play on the side with those stuns.
I think flanks are going to be really important for TGG with this setup that we're having here. So now the first temple or the first shrine is about to be activated, and this is where we are most likely. I would not even be surprised if the good guys are just saying, hey, let's soak the lanes and give this one up. If Greymane, of course, gets a bit of extra time alone up to the top, then he can always go for a lead. But if there's going to be a 5 versus 5 commitment, I would definitely give the edge on the first Punisher over to the team in red.
It's becoming more of a standard strategy here. Just send 1 to 2 people to the shrine if it's on the top or the bottom side. Soak the other lanes, get your 4 pushing in. The first Punisher is very easy to defend. Not too bad if you have a tank that can sit over there and pull it over to the fort. So don't have to stress too much about it. Just try and see where your opponents are at and react accordingly.
Yeah, especially if you have, of course, a global hero on your side, then you can play that strategy quite successfully. And up to the top lane, we're still seeing people rotate in, especially from the Zealots. We're having Cassia attempting to get the XP in the middle and the bottom. But there's a gank already set up against Cassia, and Nuburak goes in the middle, and Chat is falling. Very nice move on the side of the good guys. That's what I said earlier. Their coordination and also their shot calling seems way crisper now in the last 2 games. And they are giving up a Punisher, but they get structures in the middle and the experience at the bot lane too.
Well, Anti gonna get pulled over the wall, able to burrow charge out. If they can keep it up, that'll be good for them. Of course, now with those games coming in, expect to see Zealots play a bit more safer and not deal with the pressure coming their way, and not to have the solo laners floating around. Cassia by herself typically is going to happen. They just put her down there to soak that lane. Next time, she'll probably be a little bit more careful that that gank won't come in. But look at the results. 7 about to hit. That's 6 just occurs for the Zealots.
Yeah, I really like it. I think the draft overall, I prefer the draft that the Zealots have, but when it comes to shot calling, TGG is making all the right choices. They got so much value out of the Dehaka at the bot lane already, and now we're seeing the red team, the Zealots, attempting to at least counterbalance it by taking down the wall over here. But BKB moves in. They try to go for Poik. They can't get him just yet, but BKB should have the cool already in a little bit, and Gul'dan is still under pressure.
Massive burrow charger from Anti hitting 4 people. BKB, does he have the drag? He does, but he misses out on it, and they will be able to escape from the fight. So a coordinated gank, not pulled off as well as he probably wanted it to. Getting that Gul'dan would have been awesome, but Diablo was able to prevent that from occurring by interrupting Dehaka.
Yeah, but the story of the game so far has been that team fights seem to be a bit stronger for Zealots, at least from what we've seen. We haven't really had any big ones just yet, except for the last one. But breaking through that front wall was difficult for the good guys, and also landing the drag with Dehaka against Gul'dan was a problem, since there's so many heroes that protect them. But the shot calling and the rotations that we are seeing are much crisper from the good guys. So Here comes again the play against Genji. 1 stun, 2 gets the 3rd in against the wall, and Raid Boss barely escapes, but that fight isn't just over yet.
That's what I was talking about with that Genji going. It has to be careful, but the rest of Zealots need to be careful here as 1 falls, 2 falls, maybe a 3rd. We're going to have Anti taking some damage here on the side as well as BKB and the Gray main. So Zealots answer back and they engage with Diablo getting the picks.
Yeah, so this was a 4 versus 5. Up to the point where Arthas finally moved in, it was a 4 versus 5 battle in favor of the good guys. Arthas came in a bit late, but it was still an even trade in kills. And this starts to just showcase the problem a little bit that the good guys are going to run into in the long run here. But again, if they use Dehaka wisely and make sure that they are getting a massive value out of his global ability, they definitely have the shot calls that can net them an advantage heading into a Shrine fight, or maybe making a play for a keep or a core.
It's all about the mercs, 4 good guys. You point this out in draft. Grabbing the mercenary camps and getting the push for the off-soak can be great for their team. Be able to put the top. This isn't a bad spot for Zealots. They'll be able to defend that actually pretty decently with the Shrine being in the middle, but still the pressure is something they have to worry about. Maybe that could be buzzing around, being annoying. Cassia's still on the bottom though. She may want to move up after she gets that wave pushed in there and grabs that experience just to be with her team. Zealots are much better together.
Yeah, Cassia is also not alone at the bot lane. Diablo is still with her, and there is a camp, so that's definitely pressure that they have. Tensed, it's what is important right now. The good guys are going to hit it a bit faster.
They are. They have the entire wave here in the middle. Zealots have the wave here on the top, though. They'll be able to get 10-2. There it is. They do grab the 10. Diablo and Cassia immediately start beelining straight for the middle lane here. 22-9 in minion control. And we're going to see an instant fight. Zealots should be wanting to go in.
Yeah, Poik is already, being attacked here. But here comes the first stun. Mopsio is in. Horrify used. Genji is down. And now they go once again against Antihero. He runs straight into the Apocalypse. Great use of the ult by Mopsio. That's another dead Inuburak. And we are back to the original analysis. Team fights. Way better for the Zealots. They're set up. If you don't get that flank against Gul'dan, if you cannot isolate a hero and get a good gank off, then the Zealots overall just have in a straightforward team fight, the much better position.
And that was one of those moments where Genji gets in a little bit further than the rest of the team. He has some mobility, but the rest of the team can't keep up. Got a little bit too far on the right side, and the Diablo flank just happened to be perfect because they were rotating in and were able to lock him down. Had they gotten the Gul'dan kill, it would have been great, but I think once they got him down to half health, that was a win in itself. Pull back and try to control that Shrine, because they were actually leading in the numbers.
Yeah, the way, on the other hand, that Genji is currently playing this, or that also Gul'dan could way faster go for the Drain Life, just to keep himself in the game. Because what Genji is currently trying to do is set himself up at the side. He's not dashing in, he's already at the side, in a brush, waiting for the opponent's team to pass him, and he's waiting for an opportunity to attack Gul'dan, and he did exactly that. But once that he dashed in, if you're Gul'dan, you know that nobody else can come close to you. You are in a 1 versus 1 situation against Genji. If you start with a Drain Life and keep yourself in play just long enough for someone to help you out, Genji will have to back off, and that's really where he ran straight into Diablo and got taken out.
It's quite the balancing act too, because you have to watch out for the Shurikens if you stand still, but still one that Gul'dan has up his arsenal to play. And here's another engage here, by the way, as Curse Bullet comes out, BKB going in for the fight, Divine Shield on Gul'dan to keep him alive. He will hit the Horrify, Grandpa keeping up with the heals, Shad going in there, and he is just shredding folks right now.
Great Ancestral here, Raid Boss barely surviving. There was a fantastic ult that we just saw from Kronos, barely getting it through to keep Genji in play. It was a very nice dynamic that we saw. We had immediately the Dragon Blade popped on Genji as he was trying to drop the backline, especially Gul'dan, and the Horrify kept Gul'dan alive. And then after Genji got so much pressure onto him and so much damage pushed out, the ult of Kronos saved him, but they can't turn it around. And that's still a few ults used. Apocalypse, for example, not even triggered in that fight. But that was very well coordinated by both teams, actually.
Both teams going for the fight. Team Good Guys might not want to engage in this. Mopsio having the APOC of available and the chain ball soon here in 8 seconds. There could be a fight that Zealots win. However, Mopsio taking the damage. Finally, the APOC will go off. BKB is locked down, but Ante is able to get out, and the Merc camp will be grabbed in the top.
The Apocalypse was once again great in a spot where the Good Guys only had 2 choices. Either you move back or you die. There was nothing else. It was such a great choke point for the Apocs to stack. So at that point, if you run in those stun cycles, there is going to be some really good value for the Zealots, who now have the talent lead and can head into the next Shrine fight with a slight advantage to get a bit of a lead in minions.
Yep, 13 to 12. Grandpa walks over and steals the Merc camp, and that's, you have to respect the new they're walking forward there. You can't just turn that around. You can expect that Diablo or even the Arthas is following right behind them, and so it's Team Good Guys being a talent behind. Just give it up.
Yeah, it kind of looked funny, and they didn't know how many heroes were there, so they did not really expect that Uther would be all alone.
Yeah.
Also, he would have had Divine Shield up in another 3 seconds, so one way or another, even if worse comes to worse, he could have saved himself until the rest of the team is there. But as you pointed out, you have to move back and just give it up. 13 versus 13, value for Zealots in the mid and the top, thanks to camps they took a bit earlier. As the cleanse, nice Ancestral again on Antihero as he goes in deep, but we are seeing the good guys just lacking sustain.
Yeah, and Zealots are answering back. They're walking forward. They're spreading out around the Dragon Blade. They are holding that front line very well. Mopsio and Zarmony just a little more robust than BKB and Anti, keeping up in the side. Finally, a drag connects with the Divine Shield. Comes out from Grandpa. Poik on the right side is being shotgunned by Genji, but we're going to have the entire team turn around to save him.
37 though, Diablo is down, and that could be a punisher for the good guys. They get it, Shat falls, it's a trade. Kill for kill, Zarmony also low, Gul'dan trying to get another one in. Zarmony is still, Kronos wants him. Playing with the vision, we are seeing Zarmony actually dashing around on his Arthas, trying to dodge a stun that never comes. But great job to keep himself alive here. Still a favorable trade for the good guys. Not only getting an additional kill, but also getting the Punisher here.
They get a nice big Punisher. They also grab an Arcane, so they can keep pushing down here on the right side. They're going to have Genji spawning now. He'll head over as soon as possible. Cassia will spawn and Uther in the next 5 seconds, so Zealots should be able to defend this, but gotta be careful, obviously.
Diablo also died, so that means that we have all the souls lost, so it was even a better trade. Overall, it's 6 kills against 6, but this is a great game. We had a lot of cool fights so far, and the good guys having a rough time in the fights, but still making it work. The AoE healing that we're seeing from Rhaegar with well-placed totems and also, of course, his chain heal is really coming through for them. But it's rough. You can really tell. The fights, how they go, it's like these fights can flip within a second.
That they can there. And we're going to see as the fights continue to go here. 15.5 to 14.5. This Team Good Guys has grabbed a nice lead. They're setting up a trap. Zealots coming in for an aggressive play, may start working on those mercenaries as Anub'arak and Genji are right below here. They can come in and force a fight. It's going to be scouted by Anti.
It's the only camp on the map, so that's why the team's new. There's another one now at the bottom, but so far it was the focus point, and the Zealots steal it away. The good guys are not willing to fight here yet. They're actually just thinking, why don't we wait for 16? Yep. We have taken a massive lead right now in experience. Let's wait for the next talent, and then we can take those fights easily.
On the other side, Zealots are trying to grab experience back, so they're forcing fights if they can, maybe being a little bit too aggressive as Zarmony gets chunked down. The ability for Greymane to bring that cocktail, and of course that Cursed Bullet is always something that they have to worry about, and Zarmony pulls away.
Also, Diablo would love to get his stacks back.
Yep.
That's another big factor here too. Genji is still soaking experience in the middle, brings them the level 16 talents, and now they have the advantage. And we even see them heading straight into another shield talent for Rhaegar, so going into the Rising Storm now on top of it.
Trying to keep everyone nice and alive.
An alpha killer. Like it. Great talent here to be taken by Greymane against the Arthas and the Diablo. That's going to make Greymane an absolute menace to deal with in these team fights.
Yeah, almost a given. You really just need to burn down those tanks. When there's two of them that are that robust, you need to move into alpha killer. Even if you had maybe an Arthas on your team, Executioner may not get the value either. So going into the alpha killer to burn down Diablo and Arthas.
I like the decision making again. The good guys, they see a push at the bot lane against the fort, and they immediately say, yes, you can take our fort, but we will take the keep. So Zealots are forced to move back, and that gives once more the good guys a head start when it comes to the shrine itself. They move back, they will get the advantage for now, but it is still 16 versus 16, and the Zealots are now very eager to take the fight.
Very eager to move in here. 10-0 right now, 16-16 for both of our teams. Zealots just walking forward, clearing minions as they can, bringing full destruction to this top lane. Anub'arak is on the side here with BKB. Looking to maybe go in for an aggressive fight. You have Genji ready to flank in if need be. He can Swift Strike and bring out the Dragon Blight. Here's Anti.
Yep, they're going for Andy. They don't get the stun against the wall here. Howling Blast follows though, and now we have a lead in minions for the Zealots. This is an important one. This can decide even a first keep if the good guys are able to win it. Before the top lane is already lost to the Zealots.
Cursed Bullet missed. 15 seconds for another Cursed Bullet to come up. BKB gets shredded there by Mopsio and the rest of the crew. And they start moving forward. Ancestor Healing used early, but just to make sure the ante didn't fall.
Smobs here just picked the Haka up and slammed him into the ground. He just completely got crushed. Well done, and that kill forces the blue team back. The Zealots here, they take the kill, they take the Punisher, and now they can move through the top. It's an easy fort, of course. The question is, can they drop a keep?
That was a display of how strong that devastating charge at level 13 can be. If you're able to grab anyone and put them against the wall and take away a part of their maximum health, gosh, it can really help you out in kills. With the Gul'dan follow-up in chat as well, we're going to take a while before we see Dahaka back at the field. 5 more seconds, another engage occurs. Genji gets put against the wall, but the Horrify will miss out. Yeah,
the Horrify misses, and that was a clutch call there from Genji, dashing out in the last second. If that Horrify arrives half a second earlier, then Genji is definitely dead. But I think they were a bit surprised that they could lock him down like this. It was great play from Mopsio, but unfortunately Gul'dan a bit too late. And yeah, Xay actually on the, no, Raid Boss on the Genji is able to dash out. So close one. That could have been a lot worse for the good guys. That could have been keep. If Genji falls, yeah, that's more or less a keep.
They definitely want to push the issue there if they got the kill on Genji, as he's one of the main damage dealers for this team, especially that Dragon Blade floating around. So, Team Good Guys do hold here. They still have the keep at the top. They lost a 4 and a wave in experience, but they are just fine as they're starting to tie up with the Zealots. This is getting a really good game here as we're getting towards the next Shrine phase, which will be the next point in which keeps will start to be a threat for both of our teams.
Greymane doing a massive amount of work in this game, by the way. We have 46,000 hero damage from Xay, and we see him also with pretty solid siege damage, obviously, on his Greymane. The next highest hero when it comes to hero damage is Shad with Cassia on the opponent's side. So the two of them definitely taking the top spots for their team.
18 to 18. Zealots are about to hit with the minion wave in the bottom. They'll be able to soak. It's actually a pretty big minion wave. They need to get down there quicker before they lose out in the experience. And Team Good Guys starting to control the map. Remember that Dahaka, again, coming to late game is great for them. Able to hold down the lanes, keep the experience moving forward, get towards level 20 while their 4-man can keep control of the map. They've gotten the minions on the bottom. They can work on the mercenaries in the top left. And if they would like, although I wouldn't risk it now with 20 right around the corner, they could start to go in for an evade and call Dahaka at any point.
I also like what we saw from Dahaka, that he was actually playing extremely passive and not engaging the wave up to the point where he saw his opponent's team at the bottom right clearing a wave out. Because before that, if you don't have vision, the worst thing that can happen to you is if you go to the top to just defend, you move out a bit too far into lane, your opponent has set up a trap, then you die, it's a staggered death, the shrines activate, and you are forced in a 4 versus 5 battle. So playing it safe when you don't know where your opponent is just the... It's the one-on-one on Heroes of the Storm. You need to make... It's the ABCs. You need to make sure you don't see heroes on the map, you play safe. Play around vision, play what you know, and always assume the worst. Always assume there's a trap set up for you if you don't see your opponent on the map.
And speaking about playing safe, Team Good Guys need to make a decision here. Do they want to contest where Zealots have been winning team fights around the Shrine phases, or do they want to go ahead and work towards 20? They have Dahaka on the top who is working on that 20, but Diablo engages in the middle.
Yeah, once again, a Nubarak.
Ancestral.
Oh, the Ancestral not going through. Anti-hero just picked off again. Great chase also by the Zealots. That was just a completely perfect stun combo that they had here. And that allows now Arthas to split off to the top to deal with the situation where Dahaka starts to push the keep. So that's a great spot for the Zealots to be in. This kill was crucial.
That kill made the decision for Team Good Guys to play defensively. They have to. They have to soak 20 and just try to control the keep. Make sure to keep it alive. In 30 seconds, and Nubrak will be back on the field. And BKB did buy some time in the top lane. Arthas defended pretty decently here. They didn't lose a keep.
This is what we've seen here now several times with Nubarak is also just extremely telling about the nerfs that Nubarak has received. He is just easier to kill at this point. So in the old patch, that would have been a Nubarak that is still alive, where the Ancestral hits him in time, and then you are in the situation where you have the Dahaka pushing top, and your opponent is going to have to make a very difficult choice. But right now, a Nubarak dying, this is definitely a result of his stats being changed. And as you can see now, we're having a 5 versus 5 once again at the bottom, where the keep is about to fall as the Zealots are pushing in to gain themselves an advantage.
The Good Guys have hit 20 themselves, though. They go in for a fight. Big Epicenter does connect. Raid Boss comes in on the side here. Ice isolation does not connect. Mopsio comes on the side, will hand BKB. Divine Shield being used on Poik. He will live here after using the Horrify. And Ancestral Sealing is being used too. And Raid Boss on the side is shredding, but Shad gets the lockdown. They trade for 1-for-1.
Genji down, but so is Cassia. Once again, we're seeing Zealots moving in. Xay trying to dish out the damage as the Punisher jumps in as well. He wants to be part of the party here, as we are seeing the root hitting Greymane. Xay is low and he might fall. Indeed he does, as Zomani takes him down with the Death Coil. Once again, Poik from the back just spying away with the spells on Gul'dan. They're trying to go for it here, and another stun hitting BKB could be the end of the Haka.
BKB does fall. Big F Center comes out again for Anti-Hero. He's looking for the fight. Poik is low and he's starting to shred on the side here. Can they continue to go for the core? It's looking like it's not a possibility, but they're moving in. Poik getting nice and helping help. Do they have the damage though? Arthas in the front line should be enough. Ante moves in.
3 seconds until we have the web again. He can go for Cocoon. They want to go for Grandpa. Of course, he has his ult still up, his 20. Here comes the hit, though, and they're trying to drop someone.
9 seconds.
They're going to buy enough time for Greymane. 70% on the core. That's just too much.
Genji's going to be up here in 4 seconds. Poik is low. The core with 60%. This is not looking like it's going to be game here. Ante finally will fall, but here's Genji. He goes in. He's on Zarmani. He's not going to be able to get the kill. He misses the last auto attack. There it is. Finally, he turns around and looks at Mopsio. Mopsio is on the core. It's 20%. The heals are coming in. Uther doing his best here to keep him alive, and the core will not fall.
The core is still there. Genji nearly screwing it up, by the way, trying to take Arthas down, but Arthas survived with a sliver of an hit point. 16% on the core. But what can you do with it? There's 2 heroes up. We still have Diablo back, and we have Cassia. There is no way you can end the game if you're the good guys, and you're down to 60% on core.
They can't even make a play for the keep, can they? I mean, Dahaka's already gone to the top lane. Yeah, they've got nothing they can do, so that's actually a worth it trade there for the Zealots, because they get the core down to 60%, and they have the threat of always backdooring.
But that fight, that Poik on Gul'dan was able to survive this long. He was attacked from 2 sides, and Nubruk jumping in against him, Dahaka coming from behind. He had to move into the opponent's base, got attacked by Genji, kept himself alive. Uther just healed him over and over again, drops out the Divine Shield, and it was insane that he didn't fall. If Gul'dan dies in that spot, that's an immediate end of the push that the Zealots were trying to execute, and they would be on the run. But the good guys could not confirm the kill. The Zealots with great play there. And then later on also that kill of Diablo against the Nubruk, slamming him into the core.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. So great play by the Zealots. Good guys with a good defense. But still, this is just screaming backdoor.
Oh, both of our teams are still in the game here. 12 kills to 12. Incredibly even here, 22 to 21, but still that core is the weakened spot here for the good guys. They need to win the Shrine phase. They also need to make sure that they stop their opponents from backdooring. They did do a couple of good things, though. They grabbed the Mercs in the top right and the top middle to pressure that keep.
But yeah, exactly, sorry.
Yeah, so that forces somebody to come back and pull it, but they might actually get the keep.
They get the keep for sure. There's also a second one coming in, the second camp, so the keep is definitely a given. And now you have a win condition. If you wipe, you can go top and end the game. So even with 16% on the core, as long as you maintain vision of your opponent's team, this isn't over. But Genji stunned once, twice, and this is the death of Genji. Ancestral not coming through in time, but they try to get the counter kill. But once again, the Divine Shield is on Gul'dan. Diablo down, and so is Grandpa. Grandpa eliminated, and BKB is still on point. They're trying to jump in. Shat is there on the Cassia, but this could be the good guys turning it around. It's a triple kill. They get the triple. They go for Poik. They want him. They don't get the stun, but look at Zomani. He can't get out.
He's been bucked in by everybody here, and that's going to be it. All 4 members left here from the good guys. They didn't need a Genji. Oh, you're right. The core. They have nobody looking at it. Okay.
They don't see it.
Dahaka's going back.
They don't see it.
Can Dahaka clear it in time? It's getting through the shields. Dahaka should be fine.
That's 3 catapults and a 4th coming in.
No, he's got this. He's going to be able to defend that. He can pull one. He does. Minions come out. Clears it out. It's close. No! Are you... What? Oh my god, he did it! Oh, he did it! And on the core!
3% on the core! And the Zealots only have Gul'dan to protect their own. The good guys are moving in. Genji went back even. He's back now, he's revived, but this is game. The good guys actually taking 3% on their core as they win game number 3. Oh.
Incredible.
Yeah, someone did the math on that.
Someone dropped the math there right away.
BKB, a confirmed rocket scientist.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, wait a second. So that's 3 catapults and 4 pushing in. If I drag this one, I do I do 500 damage. Okay, so it should be 3%. Ah, I have an easy extra shot there.
Go for the
Get
core.
out of here, yeah.
Dude,
Go for the core,
scary.
boy. That's mine.
I mean, think about anyone else that comes back and clear that. They wouldn't have the drag to stop the catapult from actually connecting with the core, and they may have actually lost that game. So
think about how pissed you are if you basically wipe the opponent's team, you go top, and all of a sudden the last catapult shot just says, screw you.
And finishes it out, yeah. One more shot and that's over.
Yeah.
That would have been game.
Yeah.
9,000,000%. Straight up.
I mean, the probability that the last shot would have ended the game is definitely over 9,000.
It's definitely up there. So Team Good Guys, somehow, some way, even losing a Genji when a 4v4, because remember, Arthas was defending that top lane, and that's why they didn't have the straight number advantage, even though they killed the Genji. Team Good Guys win the fight because they bring out the Cocoon and make it a 4v3. Yeah. Somehow pull back.
And let's look at it again. Let's look at the last engagement that we actually had here, because look at the Diablo coming in. The stun against Genji, and immediately everyone focuses on him, and we just don't have Kronas in range because Mopsio pushed him out of it. So they still take it though. It's a 4 versus 5 the entire time here, and just that damage from Greymane as they take Mopsio down. And Zarmany just wasn't there. He was the one who tried to defend the top lane, but he entered the fight too late, and therefore they could fight for a long time on even footing, and it just turns against the Zealots. A crushing defeat for them considering how far ahead they were. They had the opponent's score down to 16% at this moment. But yes, they lose everyone except for Gul'dan, and then it's just the catapults where that's their only hope. Even if they just buy a little bit of time.
Yeah.
If they just buy a bit more time to be actually honest, if Gul'dan turns around and just sacrifices himself, they win the game.
Yeah, they can push in and go for it.
If he buys, he needed to buy 2 seconds. If he moves back in, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, obviously. He didn't know that.
Yeah.
But if he just turns around, sacrifices himself, and just by dying and suiciding buys 2 more seconds, I think even 1 would have maybe been enough. Then the game ends because the catapults take it down, or the entire team of the Good Guys have to move back to defend and can't finish.
The other thing, too, as well to think about is that maybe there was a little bit too much overkill on the Genji. I know a lot of us don't like Genjis as of late, but the Horrify was used, Stun was used, and Diablo was used. So that means that 4v4 that was available for Good Guys was uncontested. There was no way to disrupt their fight except for the Divine Shield. So they came in and forced a fight right away because Horrify was even used on that Genji. So lots of small things that really stack up there. Good read by Good Guys to say, you know what? Our Genji just got blown up, but this is still a 4v4. We can make it a 4v3 with Cocoon, and we don't have the opponent Arthas here to go in and win that team fight. So good job on them.
Yeah, it was
good shot calling.
Good shot calling. Also, again, well calculated BKB. I'm impressed. Good math on that.
Game number 4 here. Let's go ahead and get it started. And we'll see if the math will continue here.